Welcome to another edition of this Justin Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today, we're going to be talking about, we're just going to do a special, real quick show. I'm not going to go through each game because, frankly, it was a hard week for LSU. But today's Saturday, and last night they had a great game. They came through and really worked on some stuff. I think they got some good stuff going. It'll be great moving forward. I think what they needed to do was take a rest, reset, have a really good practice, get the bats moving again. We got the bats going again last night, and that was perfect. But we're not going to talk about last night. We're going to talk about the Dartmouth, Northeastern and ULL games. As painful as that's going to be, it was a 3-2 week. Yeah, we went 3-2 last week in a 5-game stretch, and those 2 losses were we looked terrible. And through even the 3 wins, pitching was great on the first 3, but pitching wasn't so great in the last 2. Offense wasn't great throughout the whole thing. So I'm going to jump into it, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking on the games. I'll go through the stat lines for the first. Here we go. I'll go through the stat lines for the Friday, Saturday. I'll go through the stat lines for the Friday and Saturday game, which were good. Like I said, we didn't hit that well, but I'll kind of run through them real quick because Evans did great. Evans was great, but offensively, we only had 5 hits, but Kason Evans went 5 1/3, gave up 2 hits and 2 runs, walked 3, but 10 Ks, so he did great. Offense wasn't great. Then we won that game 5-2. Then on Saturday, we turned around and beat Northeastern 3-1. Cooper Moore went 7 2/3. He had a perfect game going until the 5th when he walked 1. He gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run with 10 Ks. Had a perfect game going until the 4th where he walked 1. And then in the 5th, he had a no-hitter going on, and then he gave up his first hit. Then we go to the Sunday game. Again, wasn't what we were expecting offensively. We only scored 3 runs. Offensively, they just needed to reset. But here we go. William Schmidt got the win. We only had 4 hits in this game. We had 4 hits in this game. William Schmidt went 7 1/3, gave up 4 hits, and then he struck out 9. He didn't walk anybody, but right before they pulled him, he did have a hit by a pitch. Offensive leaders, we got 4 hits. Our offensive leaders were Brown and Milam. Brown had a home run, and then we get to the ugly, where I'm not going to lie, once it turned 10-0 and it didn't look like anything was going, I had other things to worry about this week, and I turned the game off. But the losing pitcher was Cooper Williams. Looks like we did get something going. We had 10 hits, but it was all of our backups that got hits. Eddie Yaman, the 4th, got 2 hits, went 2 for 3. Patrick went 1 for 1. Harden went 1 for 2. Klaus went 1 for 1. Yaman, Milam, Ruckert, Harden, and Klaus were our leaders in this game, and they came back from what seemed to be an immeasurable odds when we're down 10-0 in the 3rd, and worked their way back and only lost 13. Still, we need to be better. We need to be more offensive. And then the real nasty, ugly thing happened defensively. We lost to ULL, Louisiana, the University of Louisiana Lafayette. I will never call you Louisiana. You will always be ULL. You'll always be little brother. We've got national championships hanging up. You have championship appearances. But kudos to y'all. Y'all did beat us that night. Whatever. Get over it. We lost 7-2 with our 2 runs only coming in the 5th off a 2-run bomb by Caraway. We had 7 hits, but here's the big deal. 3 errors and we left 7 on. Our offensive leaders were Curiel was 3 for 3, Brown was 2 for 4, and Caraway was 1 for 4 with a home run. Just to make it long story short, they had mental breakdown. Pitching wasn't all the way there. And Jay Johnson this week, I read an article yesterday in the Advocate yesterday. He took responsibility somewhat for this. It's not solely on him because regardless, you need to hit. But he said he top loaded the schedule. He learned from this. He won't top load the schedule again. NCAA rules only makes you have to take 1 day off. So playing a 5-game week made them have to take off Tuesday so they couldn't work on the errors and stuff mental mistakes that they had on Monday night, which led them into going into Wednesday somewhat not prepared, and it hit the fan. I'm not putting in it. This isn't going into this week's numbers. I mean, last week's numbers. This isn't going into the Powerhouse poll, which I'll get into. And I'm not going to do a tone-setting Tiger of the Week since this is just a special episode. But we scored 15 runs on 14 hits. We scored 4 in the first, 3 in the third, 4 in the first, 3 in the second, 5 in the third, 3 in the fourth, none in the fifth, but we scored 15 runs. Kason Evans had a perfect game going into the 6th inning, and we had it was a clean slate, clean defensive game with 0 errors. That means a lot when you look into it. Our offensive leader was, of course, Jake Brown. He went 4 for 5 with a home run. Curiel was the next one, 3 for 4. Got his first home run. Milam got his first home run, was 2 for 3. York was 2 for 4 with a double. Dardar was 1 for 3 with a double and 2 RBI. Braun was 1 for 3 with 1 RBI. And Aaron Beatty was 1 for 3 with a home run and a 1 RBI. Jake Brown hit 3 home runs last night. Left field, center field, dead center, and then right center. So he had a great game. But like I said, we'll cover that more next week. But I just had to get that bad taste of the ULL out my mouth. Moving forward, I think what they need to do is just keep it simple. Last night, they had a real simplistic approach. And they faced a good SEC caliber pitcher last night. And everything went good. We'll probably face another good arm today. And then everything will be, we'll get back to where we were going, and they'll do good things. Again, I'd rather lose 2 or 3 games we're not supposed to lose at the beginning of the season than get to it be in crunch time at the end of the season and we drop 2 or 3 games and there goes our season. These are learning experiences. Not having Stanfield there hurt us. Hopefully he comes back soon. We could use him back, I think we found our second baseman last night with Ruckert. I think he'll be good. And I think Dardar will end up being in that DH spot because you can't lose him offensively, but defensively he's a liability. And I would rather a guy, and I'm not saying that Ruckert can't hit the ball because Ruckert can hit the ball. He's got a good eye at the plate and he gets stuff done defensively. But we'll see in the future what happens. We probably won't have a solidified lineup until after next week. Knowing Jay Johnson, we probably won't have a solidified lineup defensively until tax day. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and give Will's breakdown. I'm going to read his notes on why for the Powerhouse poll week 3. Pitching, he's got Schmidt at 1, Moore at 2, Evans at 3. His rationale was though Moore and Evans had more Ks than Schmidt didn't allow a walk or earned run and was perfect through his 4 innings of work, giving him the edge over Moore. In fairness, Evans, a couple of errors from the infield put him through a tougher spot. Going into the past weekend, we agreed that the starters needed to step up further, and starters delivered. Offense, despite struggles, he had Jake Brown, Eddie Yaman, and Stephen Milam. Despite struggling on Monday against Northeastern, Jake Brown was clearly the best performer on offense. This past week, he has a huge second game against Dartmouth as he hit a home run in the bottom of the first, along with a clutch RBI double in the bottom of the 8th. Yaman at 2 because of what he contributed in his outing against Northeastern on Monday. He accounted for 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs. Given his production during the comeback effort, his performance carried weight for me. Not much on not much redeeming qualities on offense, but I ended up giving him the spot over Milam at 3 as I charted him for multiple hits over the stretch, including his stolen base. Most of the offensive production was misleading due to gifts of errors LSU was given in opposing fielding. Special shout out to Reeves, to reserves who showed up against Northeastern's in the Northeastern loss, really gave the team life and almost pulled off the comeback. I love the decision, Jay, to shake things up a little bit, and most of it worked. Here we go with defense. Stephen Milam at 1, York at 2, Cooper Moore at 3. Milam just continues to excel on defense, made some great plays at second base along with his usual shortstop productivity. York made great plays at first, including getting off the bag to toss the out to Moore in the top of the 6th in Game 1 against Northeastern, along with snagging a fly out in the top of the 4th in Game 2 versus Dartmouth. Cooper Moore was very active fielding in Game 1 versus Northeastern, recording 3 outs to the 1st. Fielding definitely was sloppy in general, but these guys were solid during the stretch. Okay, here's mine. Pitching, I've got Schmidt, kind of the same reason as Will. Moore, and although Evans did great, I really appreciated Guidry coming in and slamming the door. Offensively, for me, this was hard. Nobody really did anything too special. I've got Brown at 1 for obvious reasons, Curiel at 2, and then I've got Caraway at 3 because he did give us the only 2 runs against ULL. Milam would be in there, but that one double he had in I think it was Game 2, might have been Game 3. I don't count that because that hit the center fielder in the glove, and I don't think Dardar deserved the hit because that left fielder was nowhere near that ball. And then Caraway, like I said, Curiel had some decent hits. He did come around. He was struggling at first, but he got some good hits. Okay, defense, Cooper Moore at number 1 for me. He was flawless on defense. He fielded his position, and he just looked really good doing it. 2 is Milam. Milam's always probably going to be up on this list for me. The plays he makes are really hard, but like I said last week, he makes it look to where anyone can get out on that field and make those plays. And if anyone else got on that field, like one of us got on that field, we would look foolish doing that. We can't do that. He makes it look easy enough to where we could say, we have the confidence to say, oh, I could go out there and do what he does. And no one has that kind of play just off the street. He practices, he puts in the work, and he gets it done. Defensive, I mean, I said that. And then 3, I've got Curiel. Curiel had some really good plays. He was sick on Friday night, came back Saturday and played really good defense, solid defense. Those are my guys for this week. And we'll put the tone-setting Tiger back when we thought I was going to film this episode on Wednesday. And he said just the bats need to wake up in the offense. His tone-setting Tigers are the offense. Bats need to wake up. Mine would be offense and defense for this week. This weekend, I know they showed up last night. They showed up and showed out last night. They did really great. They played a clean game of baseball. They looked really well put together. They did really good. Offensively, we hit 388 going into the Dartmouth. The McNeese game, we were had a 388 team average. Team average from McNeese, Dartmouth, Northeastern, and Dartmouth again. Those 4-game stretch was 168 or something like that, I think. They needed to wake up and come back in a big way, and they did that. I think a lot of their approach, what they did was they needed to keep it simple. Go back to the basics, work hard, hard work. When you work hard in these situations, you just keep doing what you were doing. The drops, the bounces, it's all going to come from the hard work. You have to keep putting in the work. And last night showed it. They put in the hard work, kept it up, and they got the bounces. They got the drops. They got the hits. They got the hits in the no man's lands that can really pump an offense up. Defense, they were solid. I think a lot of that has to do with personnel. but they looked really good last night, and you can't take that away from them. I'm sure moving forward, they'll continue to look great. They're back to a regular schedule now, too. They play a 3-game series, and then they have one midweek game. It's not going to be like anything outrageous or top heavy like the schedule was, where we had to start the season. We played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then Wednesday. That Wednesday, they got on the plane, went to Jacksonville after they beat Nichols. They had one day of practice. Then they played 3, came back, had a game on Tuesday, then rested, practiced, came back on Friday, played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Wednesday again, and didn't have that normalized Jay Johnson schedule, practice schedule, where he went and got everything taken care of and squared away. But he did that, and it was great. They showed really good results last night. They look good at the plate. They look good defensively. They look good pitching-wise. I think by the time the season's all said and done, they'll be right where they need to be. They're getting better. It looks like right now they're getting better. They're trending up after one game, which is good. We have another game in a couple hours, then we'll see how they do. But overall, I think this will be a good weekend. And right now, this is a great place to sign off. Have a great day, a great night, whatever you have, just make it a great one. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it if you like it, and you know other people who will like it. And let's go cheer these Tigers on. They could use it. That'll do it for me. But remember, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll have a link to all my socials in the bio of this video and of this podcast episode on Spotify. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, also we post to YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day.